Hello, everybody. Hi, hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. I actually just finished with you guys a little while ago. I'm making my videos for you. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video after you watch it. I like those nice little views. And don't dislike, that's not very nice. So, but I'm just kidding. But I hope you guys have a good time and you enjoy these videos. Remember that you can always rewind them, watch them, review them. Okay. You will have some notes on it, so you will need to take some notes. However, most importantly is for you to be able to understand them. Okay. So today we're going to go ahead and do systems of linear equations elimination, a little bit more complex, right? So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go put our title. So systems of linear equations. And we are doing elimination. But this is a little bit of a more complex elimination. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that complex just so you know the difference between the one video I posted this week and the video and this video. Okay. So let me go ahead and give you your first example. We're going to do two examples together. Example number one, we have 8x plus y equals negative 16. And then you have negative 3x plus y equals negative 5. All right. So remember, when we do this first step, we want to make sure that we understand we are doing a linear combination. And what does that mean? Is that we're actually going to go ahead and put the two linear equations together. So we're going to go ahead and add them up. And then typically, when we did the simple ones, we saw that if we put them together, one of the variables completely eliminates. Okay. However, if we look at this one, when we add these, we get a 5x because we're subtracting. And then right here, we get a 2y. So neither one of the variables so far will cancel out, right? Which suggests now that we need to do something in addition to, okay? So we need to change one of the equations around so that it could eliminate, right? So looking at the two, I don't really want to get rid of the x yet. And the reason for that is because you have an 8 and a 3, and they really don't have a factor in common. Looking at the y's, they're both y's. In order for me to eliminate the y's, one of these y's needs to be a negative, okay? So that's pretty much the only thing that I need to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, either equation, doesn't matter which one you use. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and take the bottom, okay? And I need to multiply it by a negative because that's what's going to eliminate my y's. So I'm going to multiply it by a negative 1, okay? And what that negative 1 is going to do is going to distribute to each of the three terms found inside that equation, okay? When I do that, it will change this y, and that's what I want to do in order to cancel out my y's, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this equation, this system here. 8x plus y equals negative 16. Remember the top, I didn't do anything to it, so I'm just going to rewrite it. The bottom now, I'm going to go ahead and distribute it by that negative 1, okay? So I have negative 1 times a negative 3, which gives me a positive 3x. Next, I have the negative 1 times the y will give me a negative y. Last, I have the negative 1 times a negative 5, and that gives me a positive 5. Okay. Now when I go ahead and add them up, I add these two up, I get an 11x. And then what happens to the y's? Well, we just cancel them out. They basically get a 0 and they cancel out, right? And then you have your equal sign and then you subtract these two numbers. You get a negative 11. the last thing you want to do here before we move on is divide by 11 to both sides. You get x equals -1. Now remember what I told you before. That is typical for a solution, right? You get one equation, you get two equations, and you get the first variable. So we have the x, we're missing the y. Plug in your x already here, you get a -1. But now we're going to go ahead and look for the y because we're still missing y here. So pick any of the two equations up here, and we're going to substitute the x in. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the first equation. The first equation was 8x plus y equals -16. Plug your x in right there. So now you get 8 times the -1 plus y equals -16. Multiply these two, you get a -1, -8, sorry, not x. -8 plus y equals -16. Add 8 to both sides, right? Your 8 will cancel off here. Y will equal -8, okay? So that's where you should be at right now. Y equals -8, and go ahead and put that into your solution. Okay? So now you found both x and the y, right? And again, all you needed to do was multiply this by -1 to cancel out your y's. Make sure that you review and go through it slowly so you understand how to do this. Make sure that when you get here, this is not the final answer, that you're substituting still. Okay, and then you want to find the other variable. All right, let's do one more example. This one is a little bit more complex. This is example 2. This is 16x minus 10y equals 10, and -8x minus 6y equals 6. Ask yourself, which variable could I eliminate? If I add them together, could I easily eliminate a variable? Looking at this, no. This is going to get you 8x. This is going to get you -16y. So the next thing you want to ask yourself, okay, do they have anything in common? So here, 6 and 10 is going to be difficult than 16 and 8. Because technically, if you really look carefully, I could make 8 into a 16. And it's already negative. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one. I'm going to eliminate or try to eliminate the x variable. So multiply. We don't need to multiply by a negative. We just multiply by a positive. And in order to get to a 16, this number needs to be multiplied by 2. Once I multiply by 2, remember that you are distributing that 2 to all the 3 terms. Okay? So let's go ahead and rewrite now our system. We got the top equation doesn't change. The bottom, now we're going to go ahead and multiply. So 2 times a -8 gives me a -16x. 2 times a -6y gives me a -12y. And then the last one is 2 times 6, which will give me a 12. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add them up together. Remember, the x's will cancel. You add these two numbers up, right? You add them up. You get a -22y. You add these two up, and you get a +22. Right? Divide by -22. You want to get rid of that -22, do the inverse. So we divide by 22 to both sides, negative 22. Y will then equal negative 1. Now remember, you have your solution. You need both the x and the y. You've only found the y, negative 1. Now let's go ahead and substitute it into one of the equations here at the top. Okay. Doesn't matter which one. You can use the top, you can use the bottom. Let's say, for instance, let's do the bottom this time. Okay, we'll use the bottom. So we'll use negative 8x minus 6y equals 6. Substitute the y into that number right there. So now you get a negative 8x minus 6 times a negative 1 equals 6. This stays the same, doesn't change, so just bring it down, negative 8x. Negative times a negative makes a positive, so that's going to be a plus 6 equals 6. Okay. Subtract 6 to both sides. My 6's cancel here, and guess what? They also cancel there. That leaves behind a 0. It leaves a 0 here too, but I'm just going to ignore that. And then bring down the negative 8x. Last thing you want to do is divide the entire thing by negative 8. And when you divide anything by 0, it's just 0. So we know that x will equal 0. So now go ahead and put that answer into your solution. Okay. Again, positive, bring that down, subtract by 6, divide by negative 8. Okay, so x will equal 0. And there you have it, your solution, 0 and negative 1 for this system. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understood that. Again, try to go through it slowly as best as you can. Okay, try to understand what you're doing. We've done these a little bit more complex now, but we've done the simple ones before, so you should be able to understand it a little bit better. Okay. All right, when I return, I will answer any questions that you might have. Feel free to send me an email if you need to, for any particular reason, if you really don't understand how to do something. Okay, I'm still available via email. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a fantastic week. I will see you on March 8th. Enjoy your time. Bye, everybody.